But this is why people have to get their news from more than one source, except for KFI. So if you go to the Fox News website right now, the three top stories are: liberal school board requires teachers use preferred pronouns, allows students to choose sport by gender. Oregon becomes the worst state in history, and in latest gaffe, Biden gets Michigan Democrat's name wrong. That is pretty funny. He called the governor, Gretchen Whitmer, he called her Jennifer. That's the only I don't know, part of me thinks maybe it's better to have a president who's not all there. But then if you go over to MSNBC, the lead stories are the telltale signs the DOJ is criminally investigating Trump. Next level disaster as hospital capacity runs out due to COVID crisis in Mississippi, and how a mini Trump is running Florida into the ground. It's two worlds. Yeah. And so I really encourage people, if you go to one, go to the other and figure out with your own common sense where the truth is. It's just amazing to me.
Well, I've got Brian Baruman in here training this morning on Wake Up Call, and that's the very first thing that I said to him is when I go to do these interviews during the show, I make myself go to Fox and CNN, and I see what they're saying about the topic I'm about to report on, and then I find something right in the middle. Right. Because it's ridiculous.
Yes, well, as I've often said, the media landscape is so stratified. I mean, there's just so many choices for people now that media operations are trying to hold on to their core audience. You hear that all the time. Who's our core viewer? Who's our core listener? And you're trying to hold on to them, so you start telling them the news they want to hear the way they want to hear it, and then they don't get it anywhere else.
No, you preach to the choir.
Exactly.
And you make people feel like, oh, I'm right.
Yeah.
See what the news is doing. Yeah. They're saying exactly the way I feel.
And so I'm going to keep watching this. I'm going to keep watching Tucker. I'm going to keep watching Rachel. Keep watching if you want to, but also try my advice. You don't need advice from me. My advice is try to expose yourself to other points of view. I do, even if it makes me angry once in a while, just to kind of see what other people are thinking. All right. Well, YouTube doesn't think what Rand Paul is saying. Back to the news. He has been suspended again from YouTube for a week after he went on there questioning cloth masks, again saying that they don't prevent infection. So YouTube took that video down from the Kentucky Republican senator, and they've taken him off YouTube for a week. It's the second time this month that one of the videos has been taken down. Quote, most of the masks you get over the counter don't work, Paul said, and he's an eye surgeon. He says, hey, as a libertarian, YouTube has the right to do what it wants, but he just wants the public to know YouTube is acting as an arm of government and censoring their users. By the way, there's a story out there that his wife bought stock last year in a company that's making a COVID vaccine. So there you have it.
All right, Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul says she's going to fight like hell in her first speech since Governor Cuomo's resignation in New York. So she's going to be the first female governor. She says she's got a whole new vision for the state. And recreating the governor's office. Yeah, she says she spoke with state legislative leaders and community groups and plans to take office and tackle issues like the pandemic and economic recovery. Here's the thing. I feel like Cuomo set the bar so low.
Yeah, but it is New York, and you've had the last three governors have gone out in, scandal. So maybe she'll be different because we've never heard of her and she's a woman. I don't know. It is New York. By the way, can you name the lieutenant governor of California?
Yeah. Not off the top of my head.
No.
Worst news person ever.
No, I can't. I know she's great. I know it's a woman, and I know she's great.
She's got a big. Look at. Elaine.
I don't know. Okay, hold on.
Oh my God. I can't think of her name. Elaine.
Yeah, the most invisible woman. Elaine. Very good. Elaine Kounalakis. Yeah. The easiest gig. When she should be thinking like, hey, I could have that guy's job if he would just, implode even more and get recalled. And maybe she could put her name out there the next time it was up. But in any case, I don't know. I've never heard of Kathy Hochul. Yeah, I have no idea what Elaine Kounalakis, whatever she did. I know she's a big fundraiser because at one point I said, who, why, and I think she raised a lot of money for Newsom back in the day.
The only thing that if she does become governor eventually, how fun is it going to be to hear idiots like me on the news? You could put together a compilation of all of us trying to say her name over and over and over.
Well, we would learn it. Remember when we, oh gosh, there was a name we had to learn, and I can't remember it right now, but yeah, we'd be down, Eleni Kounalakis. Hey, Eric Luzardo, make an Eleni Kounalakis song. Eleni Kounalakis. Okay, I'll never forget it now. One more before we go to break. So, you might have heard, this is what I find interesting. Okay, Jeopardy has named not one, but two people to replace Alex Trebek. So one is the executive producer, Mike Richards, which has created some controversy. Mm-hmm. But also actress Maya Bialik is, who wanted the gig and did very well during her guest hosting job, will host an all-new primetime special titled Jeopardy National College Championship. So she's going to be brought in to do, I think specials. I don't think she's going to be there usually Monday through Friday. That'll be Mike Richards. Richards has a big history in game shows, Price is Right, Beauty and the Geek, Pyramid, and he was executive producer on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. The ABC story fails to mention, which network has Jeopardy on? Oh, ABC. The ABC story fails to mention that Richards was named in discrimination lawsuits way back in the day when he was an executive producer on The Price is Right, when pregnant models lost their jobs. That became a big hoo-ha-ha, but he still got the gig, which I'm kind of surprised.
As am I. Why would you put somebody in that position who comes with scandal at this time?
I know.
In our world.
With LeVar Burton, everybody
loved him.
Who doesn't want that guy?
Right.
By the way, before we go, there is a documentary on Amazon Prime about Gordon Lightfoot, which is, if you ever liked Gordon Lightfoot, and if you're Canadian, you should watch. I saw him in concert maybe 5 years ago at the Canyon Club. He should not be out performing anymore.
Oh,
but
bless his heart.
It's a great documentary, and in the middle of the documentary is a really, really, really young Alex Trebek interviewing Gordon Lightfoot on some Canadian talk show way, way back in the day, like 40, 50 years ago. It was crazy. I mean, every Canadian's in that documentary. It was wonderful. Okay, we will have even more news. We'll wrap up the first hour of Handle on the News when we come back. Jane Wells filling in for Handle. KFI AM 640, here's the news.
The White House is planning to take action to try and lower gas prices by calling on OPEC to boost oil production. Hearing set for the Boy Scouts of America in the bankruptcy case, the group will ask a judge in Delaware today to approve an $850 million agreement. And it looks like New York Governor Cuomo's leaving office with the lowest favorability rating of his tenure. A new Marist poll shows he's at 28%. That's down from 22% from his previous low in February. We'll take a look at your drive with BKFI in the Sky and the 101 next.
At In-N-Out, we'll admit we're sticklers for a lot of things, like maintaining the highest standards with our fresh ingredients, striving to do what's right by our customers, and never ever taking your loyalty for granted. Some may call us old-fashioned. We call it business as usual.
SoCal weather from KFI. We've got a sunny day ahead and a little bit cooler, a couple of degrees anyway today. Highs will range from the mid-70s to right at 100. This report is brought to you by In-N-Out Burger. Let's take a look at that drive on the 101.
You betcha, boy. We're certainly talking to a lot of people that want accurate info, and that's if you're driving the westbound 101. Now, listen up. In San Fernando Valley now, westbound 101 to Reseda Boulevard, most of the freeway was shut down. Then for a time, all lanes were blocked. Here's the good news. Thanks to Freeway Service Patrol and CHP officers, they've just cleared it. Happened about 2 minutes ago. Still a little right shoulder activity, but most is off the freeway. Now, the backup is still to the 405, so it's up to you. I think if you got an extra 15 minutes or something like that, you'll be okay. The backup is pretty much to the 405, but if you don't have time, or if you just starting out from Encino, use anything. Burbank Boulevard, Ventura, Victory, any of those. Get on the West 101 at Reseda, and you're past all of this and on your way. Eastbound, there's been some spectators slowing, but not too bad. Now, problems continue. We're just getting reports this a little while ago. Leaving Acton, South 14, Agua Dulce, a bad crash there, slow from Escondido. Orange County checking in fairly good. Don't see any major problems there. But we're headed back to the Cahuenga Pass. We just got word now of a problem. Northbound 101 at Bar Mile. Check it out for you. Don't go away if you're headed that way. Injured in an accident, visit Superwoman, superlawyer.com. Jeff Bach, KFI in the sky.
This report is sponsored by SmartMouth, the only 24-hour mouthwash with twice daily use. Opening back up. You check the news, you check with your friends, you check your maps. But wait, did you check your brush? Get SmartMouth, the only mouthwash that provides 24 hours of fresh breath with just 2 rinses a day. Find SmartMouth in the mouthwash aisle at CVS or get 20% off at smartmouth.com/radio.
Have you ever tried to sell a house? Oh my gosh, it's a nightmare. So you call the realtor and then they come over and they tell you this needs to be painted and this needs to be patched and you need to fix up the backyard. And all of a sudden, this whole idea of, hey, we're going to make a bunch of money off our house now means, no, you've got a whole bunch of work. You can escape all of that by simply logging on to opendoor.com. See, when you go to opendoor.com, they're going to take all the hard parts off of selling your house. So you're not going to have to do all those repairs yourself. You're not going to have to do the prep work. You're not going to have to deal with a bunch of people doing walkthroughs in your house. When you go to opendoor.com, you just give them a little information about your house. They compare it to comps in the neighborhood and come up with a real competitive offer. This is the new fashioned way to sell your home. It's the stress-free way. So offer eligibility varies. Open Door is represented by Open Door Brokerage, Inc., license number 020611130 in California, and Open Door Brokerage, LLC in its other markets. Sell your home the new fashioned way, the stress-free way at opendoor.com/myoffer.
Looking for the perfect way to save cash every month without changing your lifestyle? Cash Call Mortgage has rates and APRs in the low 2s on their 15 and 10-year products. That's right, rates and APRs in the low 2s. And that can save you hundreds of dollars every month. How much cash would you save if your mortgage rate was in the low 2s? It's easy to find out. Just call Cash Call Mortgage today. Their quotes are always free. Do you have a vacation home or investment property you want to refinance? Cash Call Mortgage has competitive conventional rates for those properties too. They pay title, escrow, and appraisal fees. Start saving cash without changing your lifestyle. For a free quote and to see if you qualify, go to cashcallmortgage.com or call now. Call 800-633-0861. That's 800-633-0861. 800-633-0861. Cash Call Mortgage is a DBA of Impact Mortgage Corp. NMLS ID 128231. Not all applicants will qualify. Equal housing lender not licensed in all states, including New York. Call 855-657-9910 for licensing terms and restrictions or visit us at cashcallmortgage.com.
This is Leland Smith, owner of Service Champions Plumbing, Heating, and AC, and I want you to know that we have the world's friendliest technicians. Here's how we do it. We only hire friendly people. It's the very first thing we look for during the interviews. If they're not friendly, it's a deal breaker. They think we're checking their experience and technical abilities, but we're really seeing if they smile or not. We're checking to see if they're polite, approachable, outgoing, and kind. And if they are, and only if they are, then we take a look at their technical abilities. But if they're grumpy and don't smile and aren't polite, no job. The result is an entire team of over 200 of the world's friendliest technicians. Call and see for yourself. Our precision tune-up and professional cleaning is just $88. Call Service Champions at 833-777-7777 or find us online at servicechampions.com.
Service Champions Plumbing, Heating, AC, and good fees for free.
Attention homeowners, Interactive Mortgage has dropped rates again to a rock bottom 1.75% rate in APR. Yes, it's incredible. A rock bottom 1.75%. And if that's not enough, Interactive Mortgage will even pay your title, escrow, and appraisal fees. That's right, no points and no fees. Absolutely zero. Zilch. None. So what are you waiting for? Call now and take advantage of these never-before-offered rates. A 1.75% rate in APR with no fees whatsoever. Call Interactive Mortgage now at 844-371-CASH. That's 844-371-CASH. 844-371-2274. Or visit interactivemortgage.com.
Windpoint Corporation, DBA Interactive Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender. Terms and conditions apply. New clients only. Loan amount $350,000 to $548,250. Minimum FICO of 740 and maximum LTV of 60%. All loans subject to underwriting approval, and not all applicants will qualify. Loans made or arranged pursuant to California Finance Law License number 603F938, NMLS number 302352.
I am one of thousands of women with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC.
Which is breast cancer that has spread to other parts of the body.
I am living in the moment and taking Ibrance, palbociclib. Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for postmenopausal women or for men with HR positive, HER2 negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy.
Be in your element. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
Join KFI and Thrill Seekers at the Afterburner Music Festival at the Pacific Air Show in Huntington Beach, October 1st and 2nd. This year's event will feature performances by Sammy Hagar and the Circle, Sam Hunt, ex-ambassadors, and more. Get your tickets now at AfterburnerMusicFestival.com. KFI AM 640.
More stimulating talk.
I know that they got it out for love, that's all for us, but maybe we can work it out.
Jane Wells filling in for Bill Handel, KFI AM 640, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Next hour, we're going to talk to a small businessman who has an interesting business in California, the very first for humans to dissolve you instead of cremate you with flame. Very green, and yet California, which approved it, won't let him start up the machine. But let's get back to the news. Jen?
Well, in Riverside County, 76 dogs were taken from this homeless encampment. And the dog's owner, along with a whole bunch of other people apparently, were trespassing on this property. And the owner claims he had no idea that the dogs were on this property. And the dogs apparently, this is a rare story, because normally when you hear of a situation like this, which looks like it's a hoarder situation, the dogs are usually extremely malnourished, they're sick, they're not in good condition at all, sometimes not adoptable or whatever. They say no, actually all 76 of these dogs were in really good health. They were being kept, though, in these tiny cages or tiny little kennels. And but anyway, so Riverside County Animal Services went in, got the dogs. They got them. The owner does have a chance to come back and get them, although I'm not sure what he's not a registered shelter or something, even though I think that's his argument, is that he was some sort of shelter, but he's not. Let's just assume that he's not going to have the means to get these dogs, get those into his custody. That being said, then, they will be adoptable, and it's just odd. Most of the time, any stories that I've done with shelters when it comes to hoarder situations or something like that, they end up having to euthanize a lot of the animals because they're super sick. This guy at least was taking care of them.
I just don't know how you have 76 dogs, healthy dogs, and it's not immediately, I mean, it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
Well, I hope they're adopted out. Thank goodness they're healthy. Darth Gator video. Now, I haven't been out in Fountain Valley. They got a reptile zoo, and they're now ginning up more business and very popular because a TikTok video went viral of an alligator named Darth Gator escaping an enclosure during mealtime. This thing is huge. I mean, the video's been viewed 84 million times, but in the video, the staff member, Juliet Brewer, who's the daughter of the zoo owner, is opening a glass slide window to feed raw poultry to two alligators, and one just kind of comes out and starts going for her. I mean, it looked a little intentional, like maybe that she thought, hey, let's get the alligator out and we can gin up some business out here. She's laughing the whole time.
Yeah.
And then her and her dad get it back in there, but that thing is massive. It was 8.5 feet long and over 200 pounds, and she and her dad got it back in. Now, she says we've raised it since a baby, so Darth is very mellow for a gator, but it was an alligator. Don't try this.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody who's driven the 5 Harris Ranch, knows this story.
Knows
the story. Sad story, though.
Yep.
3 brothers who were trapped in a manure pit on their livestock farm were overcome by fumes and have died. They were unconscious and unable to move in the pit. And authorities say, yeah, they were all taken to area hospitals, all later pronounced dead. And manure pits, you have a lot of these on any livestock farm, and they're used to store waste before it's used as fertilizer, then back on the fields. But the pits can have very dangerous gases that come out of them. Hydrogen sulfide, methane, carbon monoxide, and ammonia. And those all, you combine all that, yeah, that's a recipe for death.
Well, poop happens. These three guys were in their 30s. I don't know, man. That is not how you want to go. Bay Area college professor, though he wasn't a professor for very long, has been arrested and accused of being sort of a pyromaniac. This guy, Gary Stephen Maynard, he was arrested last weekend following a long investigation that began last month when the U.S. Forest Service actually put a tracking device under his car because he was showing up. He was right near where one fire started, and then another fire started the next day. This is all up in Northern California. A Cascade Fire. Then he was later, seen. They thought they saw tracks that matched his car at a second fire, and so they end up going to his house because they find out who it is, and they put a tracking device on him, and sure enough, then another fire is set, and so he is busted for that. Now, he taught criminal justice studies and specialized in cult and deviant behavior when he was briefly teaching at Santa Clara University in Sonoma State. He's no longer at either school. Also, according to the story from ABC7, police say a resident once called him in October last year with concerns that he was suffering from anxiety, depression, split personality, and wanted to kill himself. So he is now in custody over these fires. I mean, this whole fire thing, and what happens is when one starts doing it, they all come out of the woodwork. And it's weird obsession. It's a weird the sexual gratification that some people get out of it. Yeah. People are crazy. People are crazy. This is my favorite story.
Oh, you want to do one more?
Oh, I want to do number 16.
Hermit crabs are sexually excited.
We need sexy music, though.
By ocean pollution. So they say the respiration rate starts to increase in response to low concentrations of oleamide, and hermit crabs show behavioral attraction comparable to their response to a feeding stimulant. So they start to get all panty.
Yeah.
Start to get all tingly.
Because of plastic.
Bring that pollution over here.
Yeah. See, ocean pollution has positive aspects. We should not just dumping all the time. See, for hermit crabs, they love that plastic.
Now, do they actually go the distance? Or do they just get super flirty with
I think we need more research on that.
I do too.
Let's spend $3 million on hermit crab procreation related to plastics in the ocean. Yeah, the World Wildlife Fund can get started on that. All right. When we come back, we're going to talk about actually some kind of positive potential news about COVID. And are you somebody who's getting a fake COVID vaccine card? Morgan knows some people. I'm going to drag her into this. Jane Wells filling in for Bill Handel, KFI AM 640.
KFI is literally the KFI of talk radio. KFI.
KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
May need proof sooner than later. I'm Jennifer Jones-Lee, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. The LA City Council has voted to have the city attorney write up an ordinance requiring people to show proof of at least partial vaccination against COVID-19 to get into most public places. Council President Nuri Martinez blames misinformation for people's hesitancy to get vaccinated.
Unfortunately, misinformation is causing people to actually lose their lives and die.
She says people don't have the right to not get vaccinated.
That argument just doesn't work for me. The fact that you have the right not to get vaccinated actually impacts me, my life, and those of the people that I care about.
The ordinance would include restaurants, bars, gyms, movie theaters, concert venues, and retail stores. News is brought to you by Pacific Coast Termite. New COVID-19 vaccine guidance is expected for vulnerable Americans. The FDA is planning to authorize booster shots for patients with compromised immune systems. Chief White House medical advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci says it'll cover a variety of diseases.
It almost certainly will be, for example, people who have transplantation and who are on immunosuppressive drugs for that, people on therapy for cancer chemotherapy, people with advanced HIV disease.
The FDA is expected to announce the guidance today. A family health doctor at UC Irvine says a dramatic spike in new data show 94,000 kids in the U.S. caught COVID-19 last week.
These are children that weren't out and about last year.
UCI Family Health Center Executive Director Dr. Jose Mayorga says 72,000 kids caught COVID the last week of July and 39,000 the week before that.
New cases amongst children are ranging anywhere from 13 to 19%, depending on the week that you look at. Here in California, most recently, about 13% of all new cases were amongst children.
However, the data from the American Academy of Pediatrics appears to show severe illness, hospitalization, and death remain rare in children. In Orange County, Corbin Carson, KFI News.
FBI investigators say a man from Santa Barbara killed his 2 children with a spear gun because he believed they had serpent DNA and were going to grow into monsters. The FBI says Matthew Coleman has confessed to taking his 2-year-old son and 10-month-old daughter to Mexico and killing them. Investigators say he told the kids Investigators say he told them the kids got the DNA from his wife. Their bodies were found by Mexican police on Monday. The board of the LA Sheriff's Professional Association has voted to support the recall election against LA County DA George Gascon. Association President Cesar Romero says the decision to vote was unintentional.
It almost certainly will be, for example, people who have transplantation and who are on immunosuppressive drugs for that, people on therapy for cancer chemotherapy, people with advanced HIV disease.
The association is the second largest deputies union in LA County. The Taliban have captured another provincial capital in Afghanistan. It's the 10th they've taken over in the past week. The militants have raised their flags on the city of Ghazni, about 80 miles from Kabul. The Taliban offensive comes as the U.S. and NATO withdraw entirely from Afghanistan. United Airlines is giving flight attendants more flexibility with their appearance. The airline says it's loosening its rules in an effort to have a more modern, inclusive look, so flight attendants will be able to have visible tattoos, nose rings, and their hair down, as well as wear makeup and nail polish. The change is going to affect next month. And jobless claims in the U.S. have dropped to a near-pandemic low. The Labor Department says 375,000 claims for unemployment benefits were filed last week. It says that's 12,000 fewer than the previous week. We're taking a look at your drive on the 14.
All right, I'm going to try and be the voice of calm here, but listen up, this is going to be a complicated report. First, coming out of Acton now, South 14, Agua Dulce, a bad crash and a bad backup. My goodness, it looks like a parking lot all the way back to Escondido. South of this, things are pretty good. Now, it's the Ventura Freeway that I have to do a lot about here. There was an earlier, this is the Ventura Freeway in between the 405 and Spanky Canyon, West San Fernando Valley. There was a bad problem westbound at Reseda. We watched that clear just a little while ago. All lanes are open, but still a parking lot all the way back to the 405. And now there's a new problem eastbound just past the Tampa on-ramp. It's a motorcyclist down. Gosh, we watched fire department get here from all directions. They finally did by battling their way through the right shoulder. But the only lane open right now on the eastbound side is the right lane. A solid backup here going through Topanga. So again, your best bet here for eastbound travel is Ventura Boulevard, and then get on eastbound at Reseda. Boy, both sides now, we've got delays in both directions. Don't go away. More on this coming up. Injured in an accident, visit superwomansuperlawyer.com. Jeff Baugh, KFI in the Sky.
Hey, Gary, how are things?
Things are great, but I crushed my mortgage payment with owning without even leaving my couch. I got a refi at a great low rate, and owning did it all in less than 3 weeks. It was easy, no muss, no fuss.
Be like Gary. Call Owning at 833-2-OWNING and crush your mortgage payment with today's 15-year fixed refi at 1.5% rate, 1.912% APR. That's right, 15-year fixed at 1.5% rate, 1.912% APR. Even if you've refinanced recently, call 833-2-OWNING and let us crush your monthly payment even more.
NMLS 2611, licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. Subject to credit approval. Call 833-852-6464 for terms and conditions. Equal housing lender.
You can crush it too with a 15-year fixed, 1.5%, 1.912% APR refi.
That's 833-2-OWNING or go to owning.com.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. I'm a better neighbor because my service has taught me how important it is to be a team player. My training helps me in my classes when I give attention to detail to the task at hand. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my country safe from threat. Learn more about how you too can live and serve part-time by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the California Army National Guard. Aired by the California Broadcasters Association and this station.
Your KFI Financial Report is brought to you by Bay Alarm. The Dow has dropped 103, S&P is down 10, NASDAQ down 64, and the average price of a gallon of unleaded gas in California is $4.40.
The KFI Money Report is brought to you by Bay Alarm, now offering virtual security consultations using your mobile phone. Visit bayalarm.com to get protected today.
Mostly sunny with highs mid-70s at the coast. Will be in the mid to upper 80s for Orange County and Metro LA. Highs will be in the mid-90s to low 100s for the valleys and EIE. 61 right now in Laguna Niguel, 70 in La Habra, 73 in Mission Hills, 67 in Glendale. We lead local. Live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom, I'm Jennifer Jones-Lee. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. It's Jane Wells filling in for Bill Handel. Later, as Afghanistan falls to the Taliban, how much money have U.S. taxpayers spent rebuilding that country, and how much of it went to waste? Well, maybe the whole thing went to waste in hindsight, but how much of it was actually fraud, disappeared? We'll have those numbers for you later on. Some interesting news about COVID. First of all, a friend of mine is a graduate of LSU, and she pointed this out to me, and I checked it out. So LSU, Louisiana State, is telling students, you don't have to get vaccinated, but we'll have to test you every week. But they did vaccinate the tiger. So students don't have to be vaccinated, but the tiger had to be vaccinated. So yeah, the tiger's name is Mike, and they gave Mike 2 doses of Zoetis, which is for mammalian species. I didn't realize there was an animal COVID vaccine. But Mike's fine. Students might get COVID, but the tiger, and they'll fill the LSU stadium there with 100,000 people, by each other. You don't have to be vaccinated. Some good news out of Ventura County, where I live. This is according to Thousand Oaks Acorn, my favorite newspaper. Shout out to the Acorn. The Delta variant is starting to slow in Ventura County. According to the Acorn, yesterday the county reported 127 new cases. That's down from 186 on Tuesday, and then an average about 200 a day over the previous 3 days. So it's starting to come down. Maybe that's the beginning of a trend. 66% of the county's 18 and over population is now fully vaccinated. 18% of all new cases over the last 14 days are from people who were vaccinated, but deaths remain rare. In Ventura County, as of August 10th, 51 fully vaccinated people had been hospitalized with COVID, and 7 had died from the virus out of 478,000 people to be vaccinated. So 7 deaths, even though you've been vaccinated. So that's a 1 in 68,286 chance. I will take those odds. And our former mayor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, was on a podcast going off on people who think that wearing a mask is some sort of affront to their assault on their freedoms. Here's some of what he had to say about that.
Yeah, you have the freedom to wear no mask, but something, you're a schmuck for not wearing a mask. Because you are not supposed to protect your fellow members around you. It's just that simple. So this is the way I feel about it, and that's why I am out there and talking about it and tweeting out about it and doing videos and all this kind of stuff, because I want people to understand.
You need to make a drop of, you're a schmuck if you don't wear a mask. I love that. You're a schmuck. Hearing Schwarzenegger say that is funny and ironic. Okay, so all of these new, you better get vaccinated or you can't do this, that, or the other, may or may not increase vaccination rates. What it will definitely increase is fraudulent vaccine ID cards. There's a story in Reason.com about a guy who says an old college buddy asked if I could hook him up with a forged COVID-19 vaccine record card. I mean, it's a new black market. And in fact, some of the new apps and things that are supposed to get around it aren't even working. And there's a in New York City COVID Safe app, which you're supposed to, like with the QR code we were talking about earlier, Jennifer. If you have that from the California, you download your QR vaccination code that shows that you've been vaccinated. Well, NBC News went in to a restaurant, or they used this NYC COVID Safe app and got it to accept a menu from a barbecue restaurant as proof of vaccination. So these digital vaccine passports are clearly not foolproof, and these flimsy, ridiculous, fake, real vaccination record cards, so easy to replicate. They're being sold on social media and on dark websites for as little as why do you have to buy it online? For as little as $25, you just go make it yourself. Morgan Cook, producer, you said you know some people who've had it done.
Yeah, they already have them.
Why don't they just get the vaccine?
These are people that feel very strongly about not having a vaccine. And, I think we've talked before, if you don't have it by now, there's kind of a reason why. And are you ever going to change your mind? So it's that. So I don't think they'll ever change their mind about it. And they work in jobs where they're going to have it.
How hard is it to get, do you know, or what they're paying or how they're doing it?
I think one person told me around a little under 200. I don't know if that's for the paper, for the electronic. I don't really know the ins and outs of how it works, right? But they're paying a lot of money for this.
I just don't get it. It's like getting a fake ID doesn't cost that much, but it seems to me you have to come up with a lot number. Now that's what the thing is. So you look at the card. My card it's already starting to fade, which is why I'm glad I finally got the state of California to recognize that I was vaccinated. When I first tried to put in the information about my name and birth date, they said, we have no record of you being vaccinated. Then I had to go through this whole process where I put in a lot number, and, it was Dignity Health and where I had it done. And so now I have my alleged QR code, but I guess I could just use a barbecue restaurant, menu to get it due. And upload that, and then whoever would think that's it. Can you give me a little more information about how old these people are and what they do for a living that requires them to do that?
Yeah, so I know two specifically. I might know more, but two that I'm for sure have them. One's my age. I'm in my 20s. And one's a bit older.
And they're professionals?
Yes.
Okay, you don't want to go any further than that.
Yeah, because they're in the line of work where...
Okay.
Yeah.
And am I allowed to ask how do you feel about it? I'm trying to get around asking you point blank if you've been vaccinated, right, because we're not allowed to, I don't know if we're allowed to even ask that.
It's tough. Yeah, and I feel the same way. To each their own. It's your business. And you feel the way you feel about it. I'm not really going to change anyone's mind about it. So it's just interesting to hear their stories and the things they've gone through to get this, all the hoops that you'll jump through to be able to work in the line of work that you do, or to have opportunities, whereas you could just,
go get the shot.
Right. Or two.
Tyler, do you know anyone who's getting a fake card?
I actually don't know. I've heard that the fake cards are starting to surface and become more popular.
Right.
But everybody that I know that has opted to get the vaccine obviously has the card, and then I actually don't. I have a handful of people that don't have it, but they don't have fake cards now.